Moving into a foster care home is often seen as a fresh start, a place where people can find stability and support. I believe that too. I thought I was making the best choice for my future, stepping into an environment that would provide care, structure, and a sense of belonging. But the reality was far from what I had imagined. If I had known then what I know now, I would have thought twice before making such a life-changing decision. I never expected to feel this deep sense of regret, but after experiencing the challenges firsthand, I realized that the hard truths of foster care homes are rarely discussed openly. I want to share my experience not to discourage, but to prepare those who may be considering this path so they can make an informed decision before it's too late. One of the first things I learned was that individuality often gets lost in the system. When you live in a place with strict routines, schedules, and rules, personal choices take a back seat. I quickly realized that my freedom to make decisions, even small ones, was now limited. Simple things like when I could eat, when I could sleep, and even what I could watch on television were all determined by a set of rules that were meant to accommodate the majority, not the individual. At first, I told myself I would get used to it, but over time, I felt like I was losing a part of who I was. I'd always been independent, making my own choices and shaping my life the way I wanted. In the foster care home, that independence disappeared. I was just another person following a routine that had been designed for me, not by me. The feeling of losing control over my own life was unsettling. I remember the first time I wanted to go out for a walk just to clear my mind. I assumed it would be as simple as stepping outside, but instead, I had to get approval, explain my reasons, and sometimes my request would still be denied. It felt like I was back in school, constantly asking for permission for things that I used to take for granted. It wasn't just about going outside, it extended to every aspect of my life. The food I ate, the activities I participated in, and even the people I was allowed to interact with were all decided by someone else. This lack of personal choice made me feel like I was living someone else's life, rather than my own. Another hard truth was the struggle to build genuine relationships. When I first arrived at the foster care home, I expected to meet people who would become like family. I thought we would bond over shared experiences and form strong connections. But the reality was much different. The people around me were dealing with their own struggles, their own pasts, and their own coping mechanisms. Some were kind and understanding, but others kept their distance, either by choice or because they had been hurt too many times before. There was a sense of emotional detachment that I hadn't anticipated. People came and went, and just when I started to feel comfortable with someone, they would leave, either moving to another home or simply disappearing without a word. Trust became a difficult thing to navigate. I wanted to confide in people, to share my feelings, but I quickly learned that not everyone was trustworthy. I opened up to someone I thought I could rely on, only to have my words twisted and used against me. Gossip spread quickly, and misunderstandings often turned into conflicts. It became clear that in an environment like this, you had to be careful about who you let in. The fear of being betrayed or misunderstood made me withdraw, and before I knew it, I was keeping my thoughts and emotions bottled up. Loneliness became a constant companion, even in a place full of people. The caregivers were another unexpected challenge. Before moving in, I had this idea that the people working in foster care homes were compassionate individuals dedicated to making life better for the residents. And while some of them truly were kind-hearted and patient, others were there simply for a paycheck. There were staff members who genuinely cared, who took the time to listen and support us. But there were also those who saw us as nothing more than their job requirement. I encountered caregivers who were impatient, dismissive, and sometimes outright rude. There were days when I felt invisible, like my emotions and needs didn't matter. The inconsistency in care was frustrating. One day I would feel supported, and the next I would be treated like an inconvenience. The lack of emotional support was particularly difficult to deal with. Many people in foster care homes come from difficult backgrounds, carrying emotional wounds that need healing. I expected to find an environment where those struggles were acknowledged and addressed, but instead, I found that emotional well-being often took a backseat to basic needs like food, shelter, and medication. There was little effort to provide real emotional or psychological support. If you were struggling, you had to figure it out on your own. Therapy sessions, when available, felt more like a formality than actual help. The idea of fostering a sense of belonging and emotional security seemed to be overlooked, and it left many of us feeling empty inside. The rigid rules and restrictions added another layer of frustration. I understand that structure is necessary in any shared living environment, but some rules felt unnecessarily harsh. I couldn't visit friends freely, I couldn't make last-minute plans, and I often had to justify even the smallest requests. There were days when I just wanted to be spontaneous, to make a decision without having to go through a bureaucratic process, but that was nearly impossible. It felt like my life was being dictated by policies rather than my own needs and desires. The lack of flexibility made it difficult to feel truly comfortable, and over time the frustration built up. The biggest regret, however, came from the emotional toll it took on me. Before moving into the foster care home, I thought I was prepared for change, but I wasn't prepared for the deep sense of loss and displacement I would feel. I missed the sense of familiarity, the little comforts of having a space that was truly mine. I missed being able to make decisions freely, without having to think about rules or regulations. I missed feeling like I was in control of my own future. The emotional burden of feeling trapped, isolated, and unheard took a toll on my mental health. There were nights when I lay awake, wondering if I had made the wrong choice, and deep down, I knew that I had. Looking back, I wish I had explored other options before making the decision to move into a foster care home. There are alternative ways to receive support without completely giving up personal freedom. Community programs, in-home caregivers, and assisted living arrangements might have been a better fit for me, but I was too quick to assume that foster care was the only solution. I didn't ask enough questions, I didn't visit enough places, and I didn't speak to enough people who had firsthand experience. If I had done more research, I might have been able to make a different choice, one that wouldn't have left me with so much regret. If you are considering moving into a foster care home, I urge you to think carefully about what you truly need. Foster care homes can provide stability and structure, but they are not the perfect solution for everyone. Take the time to explore all of your options. Talk to people who have lived in these homes, visit multiple facilities, and ask as many questions as possible before making a decision. Your future depends on the choices you make today, and you deserve to make an informed one. Regret is not an easy thing to live with, and I share my story so that you don't have to experience the same disappointment I did. If you or someone you know is thinking about moving into a foster care home, take the time to truly understand what it means. The decision you make will shape your future, so make sure it's the right one for you. If you found this story insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might benefit from it. Your support helps spread awareness and gives others the chance to make informed decisions about their future. Thank you for watching.